Hi everybody, I'm Craig Malkin, Dr. Craig Malkin, and welcome back to my series of videos for the Real Narcissist Facebook event, where you sent me all your questions asking, how do you deal with narcissists in different situations, what kind of things, how do you recover, and I'm going through all of them, as many as possible. I'm a clinical psychologist and lecturer at Harvard Medical School. I also released in paperback my new book, Rethinking Narcissism, to help you answer all of these questions in a much clearer way. I'm trying to give people a much clearer path through this, including people who struggle, who are extremely narcissistic. So you asked, a number of you, what do I do if I feel I'm the narcissist or I'm worried I'm the narcissist? First of all, you want to do a tour of your behaviors. And you can take tests too. If you want to take the narcissism spectrum scale, we haven't fully published it yet. We have 2,000 subjects who've taken it, so we're on our way to publication. I'm hoping to have it available as a rigorous research test soon. But you can take it, and it breaks into 3 categories: egoism, healthy narcissism, and extreme narcissism. And extreme narcissism gives you a sense of, are you tipping the scales high enough that you're on the range of narcissist, subtle narcissist, or even narcissistic personality disorder. It can't tell you that for sure. It's not designed to measure pathology, not yet. But it will give you a ballpark. You can also go to the narcissism test online, and there's a shorter version that can give you a sense of that. But you want to look for the triple E I talked about earlier. That is, are you so addicted to feeling special? Remember, narcissistic personality disorder is an addiction to feeling special, and I want you who struggle with it to think about it that way. So you can look for cues, so you can look for triggers that turn you away from relationships and back to feeling special. You need to focus in on the underlying fears. They're usually fears of feeling inadequate, or fears of being abandoned in some way, because we all have those. People who are extremely narcissistic, particularly who are more arrogant and aloof, learn to turn away from all of those fears and shut them off, hence the lack of empathy. They become blocked. We're not on a dimmer switch. Humans are not on a dimmer switch. You can't turn it part way off. It's either on or it's off. And if you shut off from some feelings, you shut off from them all. That's just kind of how we work. If you shut off from longings to be cared about and to be able to depend on people, you shut off from a lot of feelings, and that's going to block your empathy. When I work with people who are extremely narcissistic, I ask them to roll up their sleeves and do the tour of, are you seeing these patterns of exploitation, using others to get your needs no matter what, right? Think of it like an addiction. No matter what it takes, I will get my high. Lie, steal, cheat, hurt others. That's how much I need it. That's how much I need to feel special. Exploitation, entitlement, turning other people into drugs. If they have to bow down before you, you don't need to ask for anything, and you never need to feel vulnerable. They just bow to your will. That's another way of feeling special. And empathy impairment. As I said, you switch off to those needs, for normal needs for human connection and longing and caring, and you're going to switch off to others as well. So how do you change this? You need to look at behaviors like, are there times people have told me I can be arrogant, or I can talk too much about myself, or I can shut them out and not listen, or I can be demeaning, or I've been abusive. Again, not all abusers are narcissistic, but abuse is inherently narcissistic because it's really directed towards controlling others and entirely focused on getting what we want. That's what abuse is about. Better you're the victim than me. That's the logic of abuse. Better the victim, the victimizer, than the victim to be in the powerful position. So you need to look at very closely if you have post-traumatic stress disorder, because that can be fueling your narcissistic behaviors. What better way to overcome feeling like nothing than to feel like you're everything? And the only way to overcome that is to look at and get treatment for the underlying trauma, the trauma of childhood, post-traumatic stress disorder, that chronic state of fear. And we know that underlies narcissism. Excellent researcher named Elsa Roningstam and her colleagues put together a paper last year or the year before, I believe it was, that showed how closely involved fear, like almost primal fear, and unhealthy or pathological narcissism are. So you want to look at what's underneath. If you find yourself becoming arrogant, if you find yourself becoming angry, You need to do what I call turning a red flag into a cue. Write those things down. Write them down. Write those behaviors down and ask yourself, what is the underlying vulnerable feeling that's so hard for me? Is it fear? Is it fear that I'm going to seem inadequate in some way? Is it fear that I'm going to be exposed? Is it fear that my partner doesn't really care about me? Is that why I have an impulse to turn away to a novel person and have an affair where I can get easy affirmation one after another? I can just keep going from one partner to another. I never have to worry. I have complete control over it. As long as they come to me, as long as I can have affairs, I have control over my desire, and I never have to worry about putting it in somebody else's hands. Is that what drives it? And can you get in touch with those feelings? Unblock that empathy. Here's an exercise that you can do. This is drawn straight from the research. Write down something that you did. This is almost like going through addictions process. It's the kind of thing in AA, right? Where you try to make amends. Write down something you did was hurtful. Was it an affair? Was it behaving in an abusive fashion? Even if that relationship is over, write it down. And what I want you to do is picture that person in your head in as much detail as possible. If you want, picture them in the chair next to you. Picture the look on their face at the moment they discovered the hurt, at the moment they felt the extent of the abuse, at the moment they were on the receiving end, at the moment that you know that you caused that hurt. Picture them in as much detail, and I want you to tune in to what you were feeling emotionally on the inside, including physical feelings, because that's where emotions start. Do you feel pressure in your chest? Do you feel something in your stomach? What do you feel? What is your feeling response to imagining that person and what they're going through? Write down what they went through at your hands. Write it down in as much detail as possible. We know from the research that when people do this, it lights up those empathy centers. Why? Because now you're not preoccupied anymore. You're focused entirely on that other person. You're not preoccupied with how you can feel special. And this is what, if you have a partner who's trying to help you with empathy prompts that I go over in the book, when somebody who struggles with egoism is trying to find their voice with empathy prompts, they're inviting you to feel special in a way that maybe you never have. Like, no matter what, I have your back. I will be there for you. No matter when push comes to shove. If you are sad or scared or lonely, you can actually depend on me. You don't need to turn to this addiction anymore. You don't need to soothe yourself by feeling like the misunderstood person or the most helpful person or the most attractive person. You can feel better in a relationship, maybe in a way you never have before. You can feel securely attached. That's the cure. But you need to dig deep. So you might try that exercise. What we're looking for is the underlying feeling of, usually, again, a fear of being exposed, ashamed. Shame is a killer. It makes us hide. And there's no easier way to hide than in narcissism. You need to talk about those feelings, and particularly if you've had post-traumatic stress disorder, if you've been abused, and share them with either a therapist, or if you're in a relationship with your partner, open up to them. It's going to be scary. It might even be terrifying. I wouldn't, it's not going to surprise me if it is terrifying. You wouldn't have all these walls, these defenses that happen so reflexively if it wasn't terrifying. But I guarantee you the journey will be worth it. I've walked many people through it. I have many people right now who I'm taking through that journey. I have people who have written me years later. Somebody asked, is it possible to help? Yes, it is possible. If you are committed to this process, and you are willing to look at these feelings that you have normally dodged in the ways that I described in my earlier videos, then yes, you can overcome this addiction to feeling special. You can reduce your narcissism, but you have to make that commitment. And you have to catch yourself. You have to catch the reflex in the moment and look inward and ask, what is that underlying vulnerable feeling? Fear, loneliness, sadness, shame? Is it terror in the case of post-traumatic stress disorder? And find ways to put words to it. Write about it first if you have to. This is the path to secure attachment, and this is the path to recovery. So I hope that helps answer the question of everybody who's worried they might have narcissistic personality disorder, or if there's hope for them. Yes, there's hope for you. But it's a road to recovery, much like a road to recovery from addiction. And if you have a setback, you need to ask, okay, what do I do next? I just lied. Why? What was the feeling that came up for me that fueled that lie? What happened? And you need to do that over and over again. So I wish you luck with your recovery. For me, it's just like the courage in you even looking yourself shows that's where I have the greatest hope. The people who show up on my door, I don't worry as much about. It may be a while for them to go through the process. And somebody asked, what's the rate of recovery? It depends on person to person, and it's very individual. Some people show signs of improvement in a couple of years, meeting with me twice weekly or once weekly. Some people, it can take 6 to 7 years. You have to decide as a partner if you want to stick in it for the long haul, as long as you don't see those 3 stop signs. And that if you're the one who's struggling with pathological narcissism, you have to understand that's a decision, just as if somebody struggled with alcoholism, that's a decision that your partner has to make. So I hope this has been helpful. I look forward to the live on Monday, the 8th at noon Eastern time. I hope I have the date and time right. I'm in a hurry because I got to go. So, and thank you so much for all of your incredible questions. Please comment at length. Please let me know if there's more you want to know. I've done all of this off the top of my head, so I hope the extemporaneous speaking has been helpful to you, and have a terrific day.